Welcome to My Irish Radio Music and Culture News, your connection to everything happening in the world of Irish music and culture. I'm Jamie Flanagan. Each episode will share the latest news from Ireland's vibrant music scene, from traditional and folk to rebel ballads, pub tunes, Celtic rock, and today's top Irish pop. We'll also bring you updates on festivals, cultural events, and people keeping Irish heritage alive around the world. And remember, My Irish Radio is more than just a station. It's your community, your soundtrack, your voice. You can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com and through the links in the podcast description below. Here's the best part. You can be part of it. Host your very own show on My Irish Radio. Choose your playlist, share your stories, make My Irish Radio your Irish Radio. Let's get into what's happening this week in Irish music and culture.
Imagine waiting 75 agonizing years for a chance to finally avenge a brutal sports loss.
I mean, that is a lifetime for a lot of people.
Right. Or picture a government actively turning away millions of dollars from a massive reality TV franchise just to keep the cameras away from, a pile of ancient rocks.
Which sounds completely backwards to most modern economies.
Yeah, exactly. But today we are looking at a culture that is doing exactly that. We have a really fascinating snapshot of a society in motion today, and it is all based on a weekly radio broadcast covering Irish sports, music, and culture news.
Yeah, it's such a rich source.
It really is, and our mission today is to explore this really profound cultural balancing act. We are looking at how Ireland fiercely protects its ancient heritage and history while simultaneously, exploding with this cutting-edge, globally influential modern culture.
It's a dynamic you rarely see managed this well, honestly. You have a society holding on to its roots with just an absolute iron grip. But they aren't keeping those roots hidden away in some dusty archive. They are actively using them as the engine for modern, everyday life.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because this radio broadcast we are analyzing today, it operates as a sort of modern-day cultural time capsule.
Right, totally.
Like, you can learn so much about a country's soul just by looking at what actually makes the cut for its local weekend news. And in Ireland, the absolute bedrock of that local identity is the GAA.
The Gaelic Athletic Association.
Right.
It is the amateur sporting organization that essentially dictates the entire rhythm of the country during the summer months.
And when we say amateur, we really need to clarify what that means for you listening, because these matches are being played on massive world-class stages.
Oh, absolutely huge stages.
Let's start with hurling. The broadcast covers Limerick, claiming the All-Ireland Senior Hurling title. And they delivered this completely dominant performance against Galway at Croke Park.
Yeah, Croke Park is just an iconic stadium.
It is. Now, for those listening who might not be familiar with hurling, it is often cited as the fastest field sport in the world. It's played with a wooden stick and a small ball. But before we even get into the players, I need you to translate this scoreline for us.
Sure, yeah, it can be confusing.
Because the final score is listed as 129 to 118.
Yeah.
How does that scoring system actually work?
Right, so it's a dual scoring system. Basically, if you get the ball into the net past the goalkeeper, that's a goal, which is worth 3 points.
Okay.
But if you hit the ball over the crossbar, between the uprights, that is just 1 point. So the first number you see is the goals, and the second is the points.
Okay, so if we do the math on that, Limerick scored 1 goal and 29 points, which totals 32.
Correct.
And Galway scored 1 goal and 18 points, which totals 21. That is a massive blowout, isn't it?
Oh, it is a commanding victory by any standard. I mean, Limerick is operating at an incredibly elite level right now.
They really are. The broadcast specifically mentions Captain Cian Lynch securing the Lee McCarthy Cup. And the individual stats are just wild.
Oh, they're staggering.
Yeah, Cathal O'Neill scored 1-4 all on his own.
Which is 7 points total from one player, just to be clear.
Right, exactly. 7 points from him alone, alongside these stellar performances from Aaron Gillane and Peter Casey.
Yeah, it was masterclass.
But the tension isn't just in the hurling, is it? Because the upcoming All-Ireland Senior Football Championship final is also happening at Croke Park. And this matchup is incredible. It is Kerry taking on Mayo.
Man, the historical weight of this specific football matchup, it really cannot be overstated.
No, it can't. Kerry is the defending champion, and they are aiming for back-to-back victories. If they win, it will be their 40th title overall.
40th? That is insane.
Right. That is a sports dynasty on par with, like, the New York Yankees or Real Madrid. But then you look at Mayo. Mayo's trying to win their first title since 1951. For anyone listening, Imagine a classic David and Goliath story, except David has been agonizingly waiting 75 years for the rematch.
A generational longing, really. I mean, there are people whose grandparents were waiting for this win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the intensity doesn't drop off at the younger levels either. We see in the Electric Ireland All-Ireland Minor Football Championship, Tyrone captured the title, beating Cork 216-116.
Yeah, a great match down there.
Right, that final was down at Cathedral St. Collett's Park in Newbridge. Plus, in Camogie, which for those who don't know is the female equivalent of hurling, played with that exact same fierce intensity.
Very fierce.
You've got these massive semifinals happening at Semple Stadium. It's Galway taking on Kilkenny and Cork facing Tipperary. Well, look, I want to ask you about this because we live in an era of hyper-globalized, multi-billion-dollar sports franchises, right?
I do.
Where players are just traded across continents for astronomical sums. Why do these amateur county-based sports still maintain such an absolute cultural chokehold in a modernized country?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the actual mechanics of how the GAA operates. In Ireland, these aren't just sports franchises in the way you or I might think of them. They are profound expressions of bloodlines and geography.
So it's less like rooting for, say, a corporate team you just picked out, and more like rooting for your literal family members.
That is the exact mechanism, yeah.
Hmm.
When you watch a hurling match, you are watching a sport with mythological roots stretching back thousands of years.
Wow.
But look at a team like Limerick today. They're executing plays with the tactical sophistication and the physical conditioning of professional athletes anywhere in the world, yet they do not get a salary.
Which is wild to think about.
Right. They represent their specific parish, their specific county.
Right.
You cannot just be traded to Kerry or Mayo because a manager liked your stats. You are born into it.
Oh, wow. So it's entirely location-based.
Exactly. So when Mayo fights for a title they haven't held since 1951, it's not just a fan base waiting for a shiny trophy. It is grandfathers, fathers, and sons sharing a collective geographical identity.
They are fiercely protecting their local boundaries, basically.
Precisely.
And that intense protection of the local boundary isn't just happening on the football pitch, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
The government is actually treating the physical landscape of the country with that exact same defensiveness.
Yeah, they really are.
You're listening to My Irish Music and Culture News, brought to you by My Irish Radio, streaming the best in Irish and Celtic music all day, every day. From classic jigs and reels to the latest Irish rock and pub favorites, we celebrate the sound of Ireland worldwide. Want to be more than a listener? Be a host. Share your love for the Irish music by hosting your own show on My Irish Radio. It's easy to get started. Just send us an email, myirishradio@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com. Make My Irish Radio your Irish radio.
And here's where it gets really interesting. In the television news portion of the broadcast we were looking at, the Office of Public Works, the OPW, explicitly refused to allow the reality show Traders Ireland to film at archaeologically sensitive sites in County Meath.
Yeah, that made some waves.
The OPW stated they are doing this to protect historical monuments from misrepresentation.
A very firm line drawn in the sand by the state, for sure.
But wait, let me push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Because in a modern, hyper-competitive global economy, isn't a massive, hugely popular reality TV show franchise exactly what a country wants to boost global tourism?
You would think so, yeah.
Right. You get millions of eyes on your beautiful landscapes, which brings in tourist dollars, which funds the local economy. Why on earth turn away the cameras and the money? It just seems counterintuitive to survival.
Well, it does seem counterintuitive if you only measure success in immediate tourism dollars. But this gets right to the core of that cultural balancing act we talked about.
Okay.
The OPW's decision highlights a culture that absolutely refuses to let its deep history be diluted for mass consumption. These ancient monuments in Meath are incredibly significant archaeological sites.
Right.
If you allow a reality show to film there, you are basically turning a site of profound historical weight into just a cheap, dramatic backdrop for reality TV contestants arguing over who gets banished.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like they have an incredibly strict bouncer guarding the VIP room of their history.
Exactly.
They are saying, you can't just use our ancestors' tombs for a dramatic rose ceremony.
That is a perfect way to look at it. They are guarding the authenticity of the space. And this fierce guardianship extends far beyond physical monuments, too. It is applied heavily to the language.
Oh, yeah, the broadcast mentions that.
Right. It notes the continued celebration of the late Irish language writer Alan Titley. Across recent cultural criticism, Titley is being newly hailed as the most significant prose writer in Irish since Mertin O'Catain.
Which really proves they aren't just keeping the language alive as a cute novelty, right? They are holding it to an incredibly high literary standard.
They absolutely are. I mean, the comparison to Mertin O'Catain is a massive statement in Irish literary circles.
Yeah?
It really underscores that the Irish language is a vibrant, evolving tool for complex modern thought. But going back to your bouncer analogy for a second.
Go ahead.
This is where the strategy becomes fascinating. At the exact same time, they are locking reality TV out of the ancient VIP room to preserve their history. They are basically throwing the doors wide open to the modern global dance floor.
Right, because they are highly successful at exporting a gritty, modern commercial view of themselves when they want to.
Exactly.
The broadcast mentions that RT just announced their hit Dublin gangster drama Kin has been renewed for a third series, which is going to broadcast in 2027.
Yeah, so they aren't against modern media or global reach at all. They just demand to dictate the terms of engagement.
That makes total sense.
They will happily share the dark, gripping modern reality of urban Dublin with the entire world through a premium scripted drama like Kim. But they flat out refuse to let a reality TV show cheapen their ancient archaeological heritage.
It is entirely on their own terms.
100%.
And that fierce, uncompromising protection of language and history is exactly what seems to be fueling this unexpected, massive renaissance in modern Irish music right now.
The music scene is just exploding.
It is. The old traditions are being amplified, they're being remixed, and they are completely dominating the summer calendar. Let's talk about the sheer scale of the events mentioned in this broadcast, starting with Belfast.
Yeah, let's do it.
Belfast is hosting the Flead Sheol na hÉireann from August 2nd to the 9th.
And this is just a monumental event for the city.
It is the world's biggest celebration of traditional Irish music and culture. And the broadcast points out this is actually the first time it is coming to Northern Ireland.
Which is a huge milestone.
Yeah, they are expecting over 800,000 visitors. The city is rolling out official dressing and bilingual signage all across Belfast. For you listening, I mean, just imagine a music festival the size of Woodstock, but entirely dedicated to traditional folk music, dropping right into the middle of a major modern city.
What's fascinating here is the intersection of hyper-local identity and immense global appeal.
Yeah.
Because if we look at the historical context of Belfast, the Irish language and traditional culture were previously highly marginalized there. It was a deeply contested space.
Right. Lots of political history there.
Exactly. Now you have the city officially rolling out bilingual signage to welcome nearly 1 million people to a celebration of that exact culture.
It is a stunning visual and cultural reclamation.
It really is. It proves that the Irish language and its traditional music are living tools. And you see this living, breathing, rebellious use of culture in the contemporary music scene, too. Like, it's not just about acoustic guitars and fiddles anymore.
No, it's about tangible, modern creation. The broadcast highlighted the launch of a brand new independent record label called Innis Records.
Yeah, that was a cool detail.
It's a fascinating team-up. You have Fontaine's DC drummer Tom Call, the band Adebisi Shank, and Faction Records all joining forces for this.
A real powerhouse collaboration.
Yeah, they're focusing on putting out new music and landmark Irish reissues. But the detail that really caught my eye is that they are operating an exclusive online store specifically for physical media releases.
Right, which is so rare now.
In the age of Spotify and streaming, they are doubling down on vinyl and CDs.
It is a major commitment to the physical reality of art. And in a way, it sort of mirrors the OPW's commitment to protecting physical heritage sites in Meath that we talked about earlier.
Oh, that's a great connection.
Yeah, there's this deep appreciation for the tangible artifact, something you can physically hold and pass down rather than just a fleeting digital stream.
And the live gig scene mirrors that exact same energy. The broadcast mentions the Belfast trio Kneecap.
Kneecap, yeah.
They're gearing up to headline the Upper Falls charity concert at Falls Park on August 6th. And they are doing this to raise funds for Glorda Mona and Sean Dolan's GAC.
Kneecap perfectly embodies this cultural synthesis we just keep coming back to. I mean, they are a hip-hop trio who literally rap in the Irish language.
Which is amazing.
They are fiercely modern, deeply political, and globally popular, yet here they are, headlining a local gig to raise funds for community centers and GAA organizations.
So they are taking a global genre, hip-hop and trap, and using it to fund the very local parish sports system we talked about at the start of the deep dive.
Exactly. The loop is completely closed.
Yeah.
Everything is interconnected. The language isn't just something preserved in an old book. It's a tool of modern rebellion, contemporary art, and direct community support.
And just to show how incredibly diverse this musical landscape is, the broadcast also highlights a totally different genre altogether. Luke Combs, the massive American country star, just delivered a 120-minute performance at Slane Castle in County Meath.
Which is situated right near those exact same archaeological sites that reality TV wasn't allowed to film at.
Right, so you have an American country singer doing a 2-hour set, supported by Irish acts Dermot Kennedy and Garen Noon, and they're drawing a crowd of 80,000 people to a historic ancient castle.
It's quite the visual.
So what does this all mean? How does this incredibly eclectic mix? You have U.S. country music at an ancient castle, bilingual trap music at Falls Park, traditional folk music for 800,000 people in Belfast, and a new indie rock label pushing vinyl. How does it all seamlessly coexist in the same summer calendar without feeling totally disjointed?
Well, it coexists so naturally because the Irish festival and gig scene operates as a uniquely localized melting pot.
But how does that actually function on the ground, like practically speaking?
Well, because the country maintains such a strong, interconnected community ethos, which, as we discussed, is rooted in things like the GAA parish system, the music scene feels intimately connected regardless of how global the genres are.
Okay, I see.
Whether it's 80,000 people watching a country star at Slane Castle or a local charity hip-hop gig in Belfast, the core of Irish culture is the physical gathering. It operates like a tight-knit village ecosystem.
Right.
The genre of the music is almost secondary to the actual act of the community coming together in a field or a venue.
The gathering itself is the tradition.
Precisely. And because it operates like an intimate village, it brings immense collective joy, but it also brings profound community mourning when tragedy strikes. The intimacy goes both ways.
It does. And the broadcast did bring some truly heartbreaking news from this festival ecosystem. Tributes have been pouring in for the beloved Cork DJ Mark Beansy O'Brien.
Yeah, just terribly sad news.
He tragically died at the Love is a Stranger festival down in Castleanes.
It is a devastating loss for that community. But look at the outpouring of tributes. When you lose a beloved local figure in a scene this interconnected, the grief isn't isolated to just one club or one town.
No, it ripples out.
It is felt acutely across the entire cultural landscape. He wasn't just a faceless performer clocking in for some corporate festival. He was a real part of the fabric of their summer. He was a member of their village.
It really emphasizes that these festivals are fundamentally about the people sharing the space, not just the ticket sales or the brand sponsorships.
Absolutely.
And that communal feel spans so many different genres across the summer. Look at the eclectic lineups we're seeing at these other gatherings. The All Together Now Festival at Curragmore just announced the lineup for its Circle by Jameson stage.
Yeah, that's a great lineup.
You've got U.S. rapper Mike. You've got One Leg, One Eye, which is the solo project of Ian Lynch from the incredible trad band Lankum. And you have the singer-songwriter Soak. All of these vastly different sounds sharing the exact same stage.
It's a brilliant cross-section. You have international hip-hop sitting comfortably next to avant-garde traditional Irish folk and modern indie pop.
And over Electric Picnic, they detailed their Treasure Beach reggae stage. They've got sets lined up from anti-shimmy and rhythm people recordings, reggae, trap, trad, country, indie. It all just blends into this one giant, cohesive community gathering.
And that actually brings us to the ultimate connection of this entire deep dive.
How so?
Well, all of these seemingly disparate threads, the intense inherited loyalty to county sports, the fierce government protection of the archaeological ruins in Meath, the modern literary celebration of the Irish language, the joy of these massive multi-genre music festivals, and the deep shared mourning for a local DJ, fundamentally, they all share a single mechanism.
Which is?
It is all about knowing where you come from. It is about knowing exactly who your people are.
That's a great point. But what if you don't know? Like, what if you are listening to this deep dive right now and you are looking at this incredibly connected culture from the outside in? Maybe your ancestors left generations ago and you feel entirely disconnected from that village ecosystem.
Well, that is where the final piece of news from this broadcast perfectly ties everything together.
Right. The broadcast mentioned the launch of a brand new genealogy resource called Tracing Forward.
Yeah.
And it is specifically designed to help global audiences find their living Irish relatives.
Yeah.
Now, I have to point out the twist here.
Go for it.
Genealogy almost always looks backward. You build a family tree of people who are already dead. You spend hours scouring census records and birth certificates from the 1800s. But this initiative, Tracing Forward, explicitly looks at the living.
It is a profound philosophical shift in perspective. If we synthesize all our threads from today, Tracing Forward perfectly encapsulates the mechanics of modern Ireland.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
Well, Irish culture isn't just about looking backward. It's not just about guarding ancient monuments from reality TV crews, or agonizing over a football drought that started in 1951, or reading the mid-century prose of Merton O'Cad Hain.
It is not a dusty artifact.
Exactly. It is about connecting that ancient, deeply rooted past directly to breathing modern communities today.
Yeah.
It's the 800,000 people arriving in Belfast this week to hear ancient music played with modern energy. It's an American country singer drawing 80,000 people to an old castle. It is about finding the cousin who is alive right now, actively participating in that culture today. The past is just the root system. The culture is the tree that is still vigorously growing.
That is beautifully put. The roots only matter because they feed the leaves that are catching the sun today.
Exactly.
Well, that brings us to the end of our sources for today. But before we wrap up, we want to leave you with something to chew on. We've spent this deep dive exploring how Ireland is using modern tools to find living relatives and using modern hip-hop beats to keep a historical language alive and thriving.
It forces you to look at your own heritage differently, I think. It asks a lot of questions about how we treat our own history.
It really does. So here is the question we want to leave you with today. What piece of your own local or family history is just waiting to be remixed or reconnected with, rather than just being left preserved in a dusty box in the attic?
A fantastic prompt to take away.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
That's it for this episode of My Irish Radio, Music and Culture News. Thanks for joining us. And remember, you can hear the best in Irish and Celtic music 24 hours a day at myirishradio.com. If you ever dreamed of sharing your favorite tunes and stories, now's your chance. Become one of the hosts. Host your own show right here on My Irish Radio. Just send us an email. It's easy as that. myirishradio@gmail.com. Until next time, it's Jamie Flanagan. Keep the music playing and keep Ireland in your heart.